Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It is Thursday. Happy Thursday. For those who keep track, who need to know, it is June the 30th, 11:24 here in Texas. I like to take the long pauses to collect myself and to listen to the nature. And now that I have the mic live, I like to check in with the universe and make sure I'm on the right path today with what it is that I'm going to talk about. Are the subjects today important for other people, or are those just my messages? I know many of us struggle with those signs, don't we? Some of us believe in signs, some of us don't believe in signs. Some of us will scream at other people that we don't believe in signs, but deep down we really do, and that's why we're so angry, right? I just had a really interesting experience with a bee, a honeybee. I used to know a lot of things about a lot of weird stuff when I was younger. I'm sure a lot of us do things like this, don't we? We in the neurospicy community, people are calling it. Oh goodness, the term just escaped me. Like a hyper focus, those kinds of things. Something you hyper focus on. When I was a kid, it was all kinds of stuff. Rocks, trees, insects, animals. I knew all kinds of weird stuff about things that nobody seemed to care about. So over the years, I guess I stopped caring as much too. And so lately I've been trying to sit and meditate about the things that I used to do that I no longer do and why. Now sometimes that can take you into a rabbit hole that's really not useful at all, but sometimes you can find out some interesting things about yourself. So, I have a book. If you are in town and you come to see us at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki in Brenham, Texas, we should have Animal Speak on our bookshelf for you to skim through if you'd like. But it is Animal Speak, The Spiritual and Magical Powers of Creatures, Great and Small by Ted Andrews. I'm sure there are a few of you, just like me, who like to read all the very beginning things at the beginning of when it was published and yada yada, but I will not bore you with those things today. If you care about those such things, you shall have to get the book, I suppose. And you will probably have a different publishing year than me, I would guess. Anywho. So, as I mentioned, I used to know a lot of things about bees that I do not know today. So I cannot tell you what species of bee that I saw. Was it a male or a female? I do not remember those kinds of things. But I do know it was a bee and not a wasp. And so I am here in Animal Speak. B is very short, so I'm going to read it verbatim. For those of you who don't have the book, for those of you who have the book, feel free to read along on page 337. Oh goodness. Okay, the bee, a keynote here is fertility and the honey of life. Bees have been mythical symbols throughout the world. In Hinduism, depending upon how depicted, the bee could relate to Vishnu, Krishna, or even Kama, the god of love. And my apologies if I am saying anybody's name incorrectly as I read. I am born in this lifetime Southern, and so many of my translations out of my mouth don't come out properly, so I apologize. In Egypt, it denoted royalty, the bee. In Greece, it was used in the symbology of the Eleusinian mysteries. Did I say that correctly? And the Celts associated it within wisdom. Probably the most significant and consistent symbolism is that of sexuality and fertility, due primarily to its stinger and its part in pollination. Bees are also longtime symbols for accomplishing the impossible. For many years, scientists were unable to determine how bees were able to fly. Aerodynamically, the body was too large for the wings. It has only been in more recent times that science has determined that bees move their wings at such a high rate of speed that it makes flight impossible. Still, it remains to many as a symbol of accomplishing quests that appear to be impossible. All bees are essentially honeybees. They gather and pollinate. Bees are often considered the busiest and most useful of insects. Without them, no flowers and many fruits would never blossom. It occurs through the pollination. As the bees land upon one flower, collecting its nectar, pollen also attaches itself to the leg fibers. It is then transferred to other flowers, creating a fertilization process. Pollination is just one productive process the bees participate in. It also furnishes food, like honey, and it also preys on other insects, helping to keep the insect population in balance. Bees that build their homes in the ground help turn over the soil, often much better than the earthworm itself. If a bee has shown up in your life, examine your own productivity. Are you doing all you can to make your life more fertile? Are you busy enough? Are you taking time to savor the honey of your endeavors, or are you being a workaholic? Do we need to sit there for a second? Some of us are guilty. Are you attempting to do too much? Some of y'all have not sat down in a while. I think I'm guilty of that one too. Are you keeping your desires in check so they can be more productive? That's a good one too. The legs of bees are one of their most sensitive organs. A bee actually tastes through its legs. Now, I used to know that, but I did not remember that today until I read it. It is able to determine if there is nectar in the flower it lands upon. Are you taking time to enjoy the labors and activities you involve yourself in? The bee helps remind us that activities are more productive and sweeter if we take time to enjoy them. The stinger is often seen as a phallic symbol. Most bees only sting once. There is a barb attached to the stinger which pulls the stinger off when used. Owie! The queen can sting more than once, but it only fights when another queen is born. Most bees have organized communities. This is most evident in the bumblebee family. There are the queen, the drones, and the workers. The first brood, the queenlays, become workers, and they take over the building and maintenance of the nests. Bees, like ants, are excellent builders. The honeycombs are constructed in a six-sided shape called a hexagon. This geometric shape has had long mystical significance associated with it. It is a symbol of the heart and the sweetness of life found within our own hearts. It is a symbol of the sun and all of the energies associated with it. The bee is a reminder to extract the honey of life and to make our lives fertile while the sun shines. The bee reminds us that no matter how great the dream, there is the promise of the fulfillment if we pursue it. The elixir of life is the elixir of life is as sweet as honey, and the bee is a symbol that promises us that the opportunity to drink of it is ours if we but pursue our dreams. I'm going to keep my trap shut for just a minute or two while we ruminate on what we just heard and felt. I know there were a few bells and whistles for me and my own personal experiences over the past few weeks. Did any of those hit anybody else? Do you guys hear who joined us? I am unsure if it is the same bee that I was talking about when I first got on here, but there is now a bee in my home. I escorted it out a few minutes ago, and it was a very strange experience because I almost like tapped into it and said shoo shoo, and it went like almost immediately. So, and this one seems to be experiencing some feels a little anxious to me, so I think I am going to pause for a minute before I decide if I'm all done. I think it needs water. I'm gonna Google. If I accidentally get off here, I apologize, and I will be back soon. And keep those of you updated who want to know. It feels like it is asking for water. So I'm going to Google what that means. I just put a bucket out there, but I'm like, is that too deep? So I'm gonna Google. Thank you guys for being here. Come see us at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki if you're in town. And contact me for your private consultation for yoga or yoga trapeze. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and of course, YouTube. You can find me, Ashley Korthauer, Korthauer. As far as I know, I'm the only one in the world, so you can't miss me.